Episode 308 of the TV Dudes, recorded November 18th, 2020. Randy's favorite things. This week, it's time for Randy's favorite things. We're talking Eater's Guide to the World, a luxurious food show featuring the silky smooth pipes of Maya Rudolph on Hulu, the sci-fi double feature that is Mandalorian and Star Trek Discovery on Disney Plus and CBS All Access, and a prestige miniseries featuring Ethan Hawke, Good Lord Bird, on Showtime. And of course, Randy's favorite thing. Season 7 of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. finally hits Netflix.
Woohoo!
But before we get to all that, I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And we are the TV Dudes. Guys, it's been long awaited. We've been just bated breath waiting for Season 7 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. to drop on Netflix. By we, I mean EJ and the mouse in his pocket.
I mean, we were going to do it. We were going to do it weeks ago, and Randy called me crying. I mean, like, I had to get him. It took 15 minutes to get him to calm down and stop choking out the big snotty sobs. And like, Randy, use your words. And Hulu had already dropped the first half of the season off, and he was only going to be able to watch the latter half of the season, and he wasn't going to know what was going on. And I was like, Randy, it's okay. We'll wait.
I was in a glass case of emotion.
We'll do it for you.
So that is the spine upon which we have built this episode, and not to give too many spoilers here, but I kind of dug season 7. So this will be a different discussion than one we've had. Usually we bring in a guest to say nice things so that I can ransack it for 20 minutes, but I have some nice things to say this time. But before we talk about S.H.I.E.L.D., before we talk about Eater's Guide to the World, before we talk about Mandalorian and Star Trek Discovery, Good Lord Bird, it is time, as always, for the Power Rankings.
Power Rankings.
Yeah, because, Randy has a lot of favorite things. We're going to talk about a lot of those tonight, but you want to know where all Randy's favorite things are found? They're found on the internet.
It's true. I love
and there's people on the internet talking about your favorite things, Randy. They're on these websites, IMDb, Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes. They're going there, leaving reviews, and they're ranking all these TV shows you like. And they're putting the data out there, and I'm picking it up. And I have now created the definitive rankings for this year. What are we at now? 144 shows, if you include marble races on YouTube, for 2020. This has been an exciting year for TV. And guys, I didn't send you the rankings this week because there's an exciting development, something I have been waiting on since this summer to see how these numbers were going to shake out. And I'm pretty excited to announce the number one film that we talked about, or not film, but show that we talked about from last week. That's the other thing. We now have films and shows on here.
Yep.
Which is kind of messing with the rankings, but it's all, it's the same internet talking shit about it. So, it's going to get a number eventually, including the number 4 film that we talked about last week, which is Borat's subsequent movie, which came in number 83 on our list of 144 shows/movies for the year. And yeah, this is tied with Titans season 2 over on DC Universe. Yeah, that's 289 is actually not a bad score. If you're 300 plus, that's pretty good, but that still only puts you in like the top 60 of our list. Mm-hmm. But you know what a real shame is? Really close to it. That's in number 83, and the number 81 spot is Star Trek Discovery on CBS All Access. Oh my gosh. 291. That is a bad score. It's got a 50% audience score over on Rotten Tomatoes right now. Yeah. What is happening? That show is way better than that.
Why?
Okay.
Do you guys think maybe people were disappointed in the first couple seasons, and that's what was going on?
That it's swaying the numbers.
Maybe. I mean, if y'all and other friends of ours hadn't really talked like well about Discovery, I don't know that I'd have gone back.
There is 277 people who have ranked it to give it that score. That is because it's that 50 audience score that's bringing it down. All these other scores aren't bad. It's got a 93 critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. We got 73 on IMDb, 75 Metacritic. That's pretty, run of the mill. But yeah, especially this third. Actually, I feel like it's been pretty strong throughout, but especially this third season, each episode is kind of introducing something new. I'm really digging it.
I was wondering if people hadn't come back for it. I think it's possible people just didn't come back. I mean, because like you said, Kyle, or Les, we dragged you back to the show, and you had written it off. And I wonder if a lot of people didn't like season one. Now, Kyle and I both like season one. A lot of people did, but I know a lot of people were turned off by it. It was not Star Trek enough for them.
Now, hear me out. I'm loving season 3, but if it were discovered that one of the people on the crew that jumped forward with them in time was actually Borat, and he had just been keeping up the pretense, but now it's like way gone too far, and he has to own up to the fact that they're in like the 33rd century and he's a comedian.
Dude, you kid, but that is where those movies are going. If everybody in public already knows a stick, he's just got to start teaming up with franchises. So it's like Borat on the USS Discovery.
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein. Yes.
Exactly. And they have to stay in character while he improvs around them, and then you got like Starfleet officers who are having sex in the hallways.
He can team up with Tom Green as a man who knows how to be famous and yet have no one give a fuck who you are.
I'm going to pitch something here, guys.
That's true.
The Fast and the Furious and Borat.
There we go.
It's got to be one of the ones where Dom's the villain. Like where the whole team split and Borat's leading the team.
And we see Borat do over the top stunts. Sorry, we could spit all this.
Oh God, that's right. We whatever the Brothers Grimsby, he can do fucking crazy stunts. Hollywood, get on it. This is why we power rank for you people.
It's true.
Speaking of Sacha Baron Cohen, actually, this has nothing to do with him. Maybe same side of the pond he's from, but Truth Seekers over on Amazon. Number 73 on our list, so actually still pretty close to those. Right there, beating out by 1 point McMillions, that HBO documentary series that we all really liked.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of the fact that Truth Seekers is higher than Star Trek Discovery. It's like the internet is such a fickle beast.
That hurts my heart.
But guys, yeah, that's heartbreaking. But we're finally at the big news, the huge Kyle grin of the week. Like, I think I can honestly say this is why I started Power Rankings. I wanted to be in this spot right here to bring you this news that I'm about to give you, that it just excites me to no end. All right. Now, people who are familiar with the Power Rankings are probably going to be cued into this before I get to the punchline. But the number one show from last week came in the number 24 spot on our list. And that is The Mandalorian Season 2 over on Disney+.
Okay, that makes sense.
Now, there's a bunch of reasons why this is exciting. This is a pretty high score. This is a 338 on our list. I mean, it's up there. But here's why this is so great. One, it's tied with High Maintenance on HBO, which I love, which is just kind of ridiculous to compare those two shows.
Very different
But guys, this means that Mandalorian Disney Gallery, the documentary about making The Mandalorian, has a higher score than the actual show The Mandalorian.
What?
The documentary is in the number 4 spot on our list, and The Mandalorian is in the number 24 spot on our list. Guys, my head is just exploding right now.
I still can't. It still baffles me how the documentary is not just a little bit, but like a lot higher ranked.
The thing is, the documentary is good, but I'm like, really?
It's about the show. Like, people are like...
It's like if the The movie wasn't that good, but the bonus features on the DVD won an Academy Award.
Exactly. That's pretty much what's happening right now.
There are people out there who are like, I don't actually like The Mandalorian, but I love how they make it.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of food I watch be cooked on food shows where I'm like, that looks all. I don't want to eat that at all, but I'll watch you make it. That's fascinating.
I will say this: I am not a big fan of the prequels in retrospect, but when you listen to Dave Filoni talk about the prequels, like he does in the Making of Mandalorian documentary, you're like, oh shit, did I watch the same prequels?
Right?
That sounds really cool.
What movie was
That's
that?
like something Obi-Wan would say to Luke.
So I think the most successful show, because we haven't seen how it's going to rank this week after we talk about it, but it's going to be The Eater's Guide to the Mandalorian. It's just going to be all about how they make the food for the Mandalorian craft services table. And it is going to rank...
It's just frog eggs.
It's just frog eggs. Oops, all frog eggs.
And that frog works for craft services and is mad about it, but they don't stop.
Randy, I got to stop you right there because I know you're joking, but Jon Favreau did make that show where it's essentially it's the chef show on Netflix where he gets the people from the movies and he talks about the food that they had on set. Like
Just
that
be like
thing that you just made a joke of is totally, it's like you willed it into existence.
We got to be careful with our power.
That's true.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Fast and Furious.
Dang, this podcast is hot.
All right, Kyle. So that's our rankings.
Yes, sir.
Sorry,
sipping my beverage.
Where did the Mandalorian land again?
Mandalorian is tied with High Maintenance in the number 24 spot.
See, and I feel
right
like
there would be a headline for
all
me.
tied rankings on our system. It should be like a Stephen King short story, like with too much power to the power rankings, and they should merge into one show. So we have the Guide-alorian, and he goes from Maz Eisley to Maz whatever, just delivering on his speeder bike.
This is
No. You just have an episode. This is the weed.
This is the weed. Exactly.
You have an episode where he just wears a Mandalorian helmet the whole time, and people are like, "Are you going to take that off?" And he's like, "No, man, bike safety. You got to wear your helmet."
Guys, stop pitching me mashups that I want to see. We need to stop this right now.
These are too good. In an alternate dimension, these shows exist.
Yes, on Stay Tuned style. Like if Jeremy Jones comes to install your television, is it Jeremy Jones? The Principal Rooney.
Oh
no.
Jeff Jones.
He's also in Beetlejuice.
Jones.
Yeah, Jeffrey Jones. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Stay Tuned was a John Ritter movie where Jeffrey Jones showed up or was the devil and installed his TV. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Stay Tuned is the shit.
So speaking of The Mandalorian, let's talk about this week's. Let's do some little old business here. Old business, new business, a little bit of both. We're going to talk about this week's episode of The Mandalorian, episode 3, which brought in Bo-Katan, voiced by and played by Katie Sackhoff, who also played said character in Clone Wars.
Yeah, did they model the character in the show after the actress, or is that just a happy coincidence?
They did a lot of that where they take the character looked a little bit like they're I mean, obviously he played him, but like they're Ewan McGregor looking Obi-Wan. They were modeling on real people, I think. And so when they brought a new character, I think they did sometimes model, because I think the voice actress for Ahsoka Tano looks a fair amount like Ahsoka Tano.
Except she's a blonde lady.
Right. I mean, Katie Sackhoff looks a little bit like her, but they definitely had to make some changes to her hairstyle and her makeup and that kind of thing to make her look like the character. But this was, I don't know, people were not sure. Some people thought this was like one of their weaker episodes. Some people loved it. What'd you guys think?
I have not watched it yet. I took a minute after the frog eating.
Well, I will say this. I definitely had to go into the episode totally like, what are they going to do to redeem Baby Yoda? Like, how is he going to get uncanceled? And I was like, are they doing this on purpose? Because they definitely set up kind of a story where he like gets to see the babies born, and it's like, all right, Baby Yoda's not a genocidal maniac. He likes the frog kid now, and everything's cool. This episode had a lot going for it. One, we got to see some new Mandalorian armor that was pretty dope.
Yep.
The action sequences not only were great action sequences, Kind of reminiscent of the episode last season with Bill Burr and all the other kind of outlaw guys, the Prison Break episode. But what this episode had that didn't was that the stakes are raised as we get to see some of these imperial, or I guess post-imperial characters that we've been introduced to, kind of come back in the fold. And then kind of the big thing is they expanded not only the Mandalorian mythology in terms of we're going to get the Darksaber, we're going to probably get Mandalore, but they get and we can save this for the end, but they get the whole reveal. They pretty much name drop Death Watch and kind of give a reveal to like our main character and what he's been doing with this helmet. So yeah, I think this was in terms of like a like mythology building episode, this is definitely the strongest one this season, and maybe one of the stronger ones of the whole two series.
Yeah, I agree. I love seeing the Quarren and the Mon Calamari, the Civil War races of the aquatic planets. I thought they did a great job with them. And the Quarrens are always supposed to be kind of dicks. And they were here. Like he was like, well, I'll take you and we'll get you on our ship. And I'm like, oh, this is interesting. They're doing the Quarren and they're not being like evil bastards. And then of course they try to feed the child and the Mandalorian to this aquatic beast.
Yeah, that was turned into the road really quick.
Yeah, it did.
That post-apocalyptic movie.
I loved when Bo-Katan, when they all take their helmets off, and there's this great bit of like we don't talk enough about how great Pedro Pascal is an actor, because he's wearing a full suit of armor and a helmet, but when they take their helmets off, he looks deeply offended with nothing more than like just a shift of body language. Like that's a really impressive moment. Because he looks so offended by it. And then when he's like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, you're one of those. I love this dismissal of, oh, you're a crazy fanatic.
Well, he had a similar reality. Like, we saw him totally change his body language when Tim Oliphant did a similar of like, oh, yeah, you're not a Mandalorian at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, same deal. Like it somehow comes through that armor, like his little shifts. He's really got it down.
Yeah.
We get something else that's kind of cool there is now we definitely have, well, assuming that like he kind of changes his mind about things, there's totally a reason to give Timothy Oliphant that armor back and have some more team up action later on.
Oh, that'd be cool if he comes on board with Ko-Katan and her group or something.
Yeah. Or like, in the finale when he's like, I need a couple guys for a job, we get that episode. But something else I noticed, the design of the Mandalorian helmets. There is definitely a design that works better for like a physical helmet you put on your head, kind of like the Boba Fett helmet, the Mando's helmet. But the Bo-Katan helmet, the flat front that looks better to have the stuff illustrated on it. I can totally tell, like, if they would have done that for live action, I bet that helmet would have been designed a little different. Because it's definitely better just like animated because it's got more surface to put like illustration on.
So Kyle, have you watched all the Clone Wars and the Rebels episodes that this references?
Definitely all the ones in the final couple seasons, like after her sister her story ends. I don't want to give any spoilers, but yeah, pretty much all the later stuff, especially where Bo-Katan gets more involved. Seasons like 1 through 4, I think I watched those when they originally aired, but I can never like pace up like where I started back and like where I left off originally.
So yeah, I've seen these, but I've only seen them one time. I don't know them all, and so the episode of I think the stuff that really gets into Bo-Katan stuff is like season 5 of Clone Wars, and I know I've only seen that once.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Well, I think kind of the big thing in terms of like the background is her sister used to be the ruler of Mandalore, and she was a pacifist. And then her story kind of contrasted Padme and Anakin's story because her and Obi-Wan fall in love together. But Obi-Wan says, no, I'm a Jedi. I got to do it the Jedi way. Whereas Anakin was like, no, let's fool around behind the Jedi's back. No, Obi-Wan was like, no, we got to be good. And I think in the story, he kind of blames himself for what happens to her in the end as a result of that. But her and her sister are like super tied into everything. And then there was some team ups in that final season with Ahsoka And then I want to say I thought they left together, but apparently that wasn't the case. They didn't end Rebels together because I didn't watch Rebels.
Oh man, no, Rebels adds a bunch of stuff, and it's good. There's some good stuff.
Yeah, I've not seen any of the Rebel stuff.
So the thing I think is interesting, based on what little I know, and I don't know all the stuff with the Mandalorians, but I know that Bo-Katan and the Darksaber is like a big thing. Like that Moff, the guy who's referenced here, the guy who's trying to get all the weapons, Moff Gideon, he has the Darksaber, which is like the Excalibur of the Mandalorians. It's like if you have that, you're the leader, and so she needs the Darksaber. So there's something bigger going on. I'm thinking we're going to see that arc, and like, is the Mandalorian himself going to get pulled into this bigger like Mandalorian stuff, and that could be cool. I'm hoping for it.
Yeah, or are they just trying to set up a spinoff for us? Because honestly, with this Void technology, the new studio that they filmed this in with the moving backgrounds, they could give us 50 of these shows. Like they could have this thing running year round. We could totally have room for more Star Wars.
That's a good idea, especially if they're all as good as the Mandalorian.
Oh yeah, I hope right now somebody's shooting like an illegal Troops knockoff on the back lot. Hey, while we're here, you got your iPhone.
So let's talk about Star Trek Discovery over on CBS All Access. And can I first say, I love that we've got like the greatest sci-fi double feature going on right now. Like, I think Mandalorian and Star Trek Discovery are both hitting on all cylinders right now, doing very different things. Mandalorian is quintessential Star Wars. Star Trek Discovery is finally quintessential Star Trek. Like, it is so good to have these like back to back on Thursday, Friday.
We also kind of got a bit of a identity swap. Star Trek Discovery had like a Western episode that took place in a space bar. And then The Mandalorian, the episode we just got through talking about, is all about like Imperials and like, you know, the crew and the ship and, you know, what rank you are and stuff like that.
Well, this week's Star Trek Discovery, though, is all about Starfleet and what Starfleet in the future looks like. And I thought they did a great job of showing like what future Starfleet, when they go to the Starfleet base and they're all like looking out the windows and having that awe and wonder. It's like the first Star Trek movie, but it doesn't last for 30 minutes while you see the Enterprise from every possible angle.
You got to give credit to all those actors for their reaction shots. I mean, that's A-class reaction shot work.
Yeah. To nothing. And also they showed us the Discovery, they showed us a new version of the Voyager, which is a nice little nod. And if you look around online, there's some reveals. One of the ships was the USS Nog, which is a reference to the only Ferengi to ever become a Starfleet officer on Deep Space Nine.
And
that
I thought I saw something about a nod towards because he passed, right?
He
the
passed
actor
recently,
that was...
yeah. And it's called...
Was that the main Ferengi character?
No.
Because there was a few on Deep Space Nine.
No, it was his nephew.
Oh, okay.
But so there's all the Trek shows have been referenced because they've referenced Enterprise already. They've referenced Next Gen plenty of times, but that's kind of cool. And then there was this big sweeping, like I definitely got a little choked up at the grandness of Starfleet, and even in these times when it's not what it used to be, the mission is still there, and there's something about that, especially in 2020, of this tarnished thing is still around and still fighting to be good. Something about that for some reason speaks to me, but at the same time, there's a real undercurrent of like something's going to go wrong here. I don't know if you guys were feeling that. I was.
Oh yeah. Well, it was just too easy. Like you get in there, you get, like you said, the Star Trek one moment, and it's like, no, this is too good to be true. Mm-hmm. Like we're only on episode 5. Like they're not riding into the sunset yet.
Right. And so when they get in, and we meet the Mummy's Oded Fehr as the new Admiral of Starfleet, which was cool, and find out that he's like, oh, cool ship. We'll take that.
Exactly, yeah. Oh, and you guys, we don't really know you. In fact, you seem like fossils that aren't even trained for what we do today. So we're gonna need to evaluate all you and see where we're gonna stick you and put you. And welcome to Starfleet. Also,
they referenced the temporal cold war from Star Trek Enterprise. That the Federation is in like this has been time travel's been banned. That there's they don't trust time travelers, that kind of stuff. Which was again nice use of all the pieces. That's the Discovery showrunners really picking up all the Star Trek.
That's
stuff,
great.
Which is cool. Yeah.
And there was a moment where they mentioned, oh, we have the sphere data and it merged with our ship. And the guy's kind of like, what the hell is that? And it just made me think of Les not watching season 2. Like, what the hell is the sphere data?
The sphere. Forget I said that.
Les is the admiral of Starfleet now.
The interrogation sequences were super fun, including, this was amazing, David Cronenberg interviewing Giorgio. Michelle Yeoh and David Cronenberg back and forth in the interrogation room was so much fun.
Oh, when she like overwhelms the holograms.
Yeah, by blinking.
Oh, that was so great. That was kind of trippy. I was like, what is where is this going?
Yeah.
Like, is he going to be one? It's kind of funny that Mandalorian got David Lynch.
Yeah. No,
it's definitely a little keeping up with the Joneses on our sci-fi double feature.
Werner Herzog.
Or yeah, Werner Herzog. Sorry. Yeah.
David Lynch is probably going to be on the season finale of Supernatural next week.
Nah, he's just doing weather reports.
So, I think David Cronenberg. There's speculation on this, and I think there's some differences. But I think Cronenberg is the head of Section 31 in the future, and I think that's what she's going to wind up doing.
Ah.
They were talking about that Section 31 spinoff, and she's here in the future, and I'm like, maybe that's what they're going to do.
My other thought was that I did find it really interesting that he made the comment that she was the last Terran, that there wasn't any more Terrans.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, what if he is like some connection to like the Terran Empire,
He
or
might.
like
It's possible.
them possibly coming back?
That's interesting. The rescue mission,
Which
was
hopefully they go with a third thing.
a third thing.
Oh yeah, like hopefully it's not either of the things we've already seen. They come up with something new.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been pretty good at surprising me on Discovery, so I would expect that. The rescue mission they did is really cool. I like the idea of a siege ship. I was kind of surprised to have them sort of write off Nan the way they did, but it makes sense because I'm sure they're going to have that future security chick who was distrusting them, but then who sort of came on board. I think she's going to be their new security liaison, so they have somebody from future Starfleet on board the Discovery.
Ah, yeah, that would be a great addition. I also love we didn't get really a ton of her, but the tall character. I like that they're expanding the crew out and they are including some of these new characters from the future.
Oh yeah,
I think
me
that
too.
makes the show interesting.
Yeah.
This season definitely feels, at least in premise, the most akin to Voyager. Which I think is like a pretty underrated, if you're not like a diehard. I think diehard Trek fans probably watched a good bit of Voyager, but if you're a casual fan, that's probably one of the most underrated series. Like so much of that's good.
They're bringing Melgrew back for one of the animated Starfleet series coming up. I think
from Nickelodeon.
Oh, the kids show.
Yeah, but it's not on CBS All Access. It's on Nickelodeon. It's so weird. But it's like kids who get.
But she's going to be Janeway.
Yeah, she's going to be Janeway. So that's cool. They're definitely paying homage to all the stuff that's gone before. And I wouldn't be surprised to see people turning up from other shows on this or anime, on Lower Decks or, in Picard or whatever else. So, yeah. Anyway, Discovery, really good. Another good episode. So I'm digging it.
Yeah, just keep building it. And who knows where they're going to go from here.
So there's a good time to remind you that you can throw us support by going over to patreon.com/tvdudes. Throw us $1 an episode. In exchange, we get to keep up with our streaming services, pay for our hosting costs, and you get bonus content each week. This week, we're launching our movie marathon. We're going to finish our Patreon for the year. Listeners have picked John Carpenter. We had a poll, and y'all voted, and John Carpenter ran away with it. So we're going to plan that out on this week's Patreon. We're going to talk about John Carpenter movies, the ones we haven't seen, the ones that we're probably going to put in the marathon, the ones we aren't. Also,
and as
a
go ahead. So I was going to say, as a special bonus for our Patreons this week, we have one episode hidden in all of our Patreons that is Oops, All Kyle.
Oops, All Kyles.
Ooh,
and if you can find
Oops, All Berries.
You find the Oops, All Kyle episode and let us know. Don't post it on Facebook or something. That'll give it away to everybody. But direct message us or let us know if you find the Oops, All Kyle episode. Then we will come up with some kind of prize for you.
Will we? Okay. Yes.
Oops, All Kyle.
We found that one in the mix this week.
No, another important thing about Patreon too is we have our special showrunner level where people can come in and recommend shows for us to watch. And a lot of times this tends to be stuff that we wouldn't normally put on our radar.
Like
but
anime? You mean
I've realized that this has become so popular. Yeah, a little bit of anime, a little bit of Agents of the Shield, like even the Inhuman seasons, like not just the Ghost Rider and the time travel season. But I would like to remind our listeners, while everybody's out there, supporting us and being so generous, that if you just have really good recommendations for TV shows or stuff that you want us to check out, there's no guarantee we're going to get to it, but we definitely want to, hear about those TV recommendations.
Absolutely. Paul Manpilli brought up Comrade Detective to me this week, and I loved that show and had forgotten about it for a minute. It was so... Sometimes it's just a nice reminder.
Yeah.
When I have heard of him. But then sometimes he bombs me with shows where I'm like, oh, man, what is that? That's amazing.
I wish I hadn't told him this because he messaged me about that. I was like, yeah, and then he gave me like 20 shows. I'm like, yeah, I can't even look up the trailer for each of these.
Yeah, y'all can definitely throw us shows, but only at the $20 show level do you guarantee shows to us. And that is Charles Armstrong is on that level, and he has put a couple anime on our list, Great Pretender and Megalobox. So we're going to put that on track for our all-animation episode next week, which, by the way, I've watched most of Great Pretender so far, and I'm kind of digging it, to be honest. But this week...
Randy likes anime now. Didn't make his favorite things episode, though.
It's time to tackle a long-awaited request from EJ, the final season of Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
So the timeless season.
The timeless season. Which, by the way, I like Legends of Tomorrow. DC's Legends of Tomorrow. I've watched some of it. I always enjoy it when I watch it. I think it's goofy. I think it's been perfectly pegged as either, as Les calls it, Saturday morning TV, Saturday morning cartoons, or as I don't know, it was someone else has said it's basically like watching an RPG campaign where a bunch of people are playing superheroes.
Yes.
It's one of those two things.
I also like to think of it as a Justice League International TV show.
And weirdly, I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was season 7, introducing time travel, which is what Legends of Tomorrow was about as well. Kind of didn't fully achieve that, but it did achieve that level on occasion of like, oh, this is just writers having goofy fun, or oh, this is like dumb stuff players would come up with if they were playing Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And while that is not what would keep me watching a show in general, it did give me some moments of enjoyment in what is usually a painful slog for me.
The brick that they have to, like the cornerstone that they're building on that makes Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. consistently have a flavor that just doesn't work, is this too cool for it serious tone. There's a, I don't know if it's a Whedonness to it, or if it comes from building it around Coulson as a character or what, but there's a like, oh yeah, we're in a flying plane.
Yep.
We're like that gag that takes the piss out of everybody's mind blownness, or like, yeah, in the car neat, flying car. Like that too cool for schoolness. And so when S.H.I.E.L.D. works best for me is when it leans into its Legend of Tomorrow, but there's always going to be that tether that keeps it from going full bonkers to me.
Yeah.
They're never going to Bebo.
I was doing a little autopsy work on this last season and thinking about all the stuff I've seen so far. And guys, I put my finger on, I think the one thing that really kills this show is, with the exception of Bill Paxton, and I do think there was some story stuff with his character that could have been done better, but I haven't really seen any actor come onto the show and commit to a great villain performance. And you know it's a problem because they do this generic thing that TV shows do where they get a bunch of the heroes to flip-flop. Like the big one was Ward, in earlier seasons, started out as like one of the main characters, and then they realized, oh, we got too many good guys, so now he's a bad guy. And it's like, I often wonder when that happens, did that actor just get sick of playing that part and was like, hey, can you write me as something more fun, so I can have a better time? Yep. Like, because it just seems so, we can't find anybody good enough to be our Lucifer or like our devil into this. So we're trying to make with what we have.
And that was true.
The best villain season that they had for me was Hive. Like when they let Ward not be Ward anymore, just be a shell of like. Because
Man,
it was the first time that they let somebody be a full villain. Like, oh no, I'm wearing the skin of someone you knew,
oh man,
and I am evil as fuck.
I didn't like Hive either. I was bored by him. And I think
Yeah,
their villain in
he
this
still
season
just turned into CGI dust. That was his magic power.
their villain in this season is also a problem. They're wanting to make him. He's like I'm an anarchist, but his motivations are shit. He's actually just kind of he's like a time traveling douche. Like I just hate him, and not in a love to hate way.
He reminded me of the Good Son with Macaulay Culkin.
Yeah, and so I don't care about his plot. And then the other Chronicon, the woman who's the Chronicon, I like her well enough, but she reminds me a little bit of the Butterfly Lady from the first couple seasons, and she's kind of like there's no personality there, and also I don't give a shit about the Chronicons. The time traveling robots attempting to rewrite reality is such a weird like why is this here thing for me that when it's kind of in the background and that's why they're traveling I'm good with it, but the last like 3 or 4 episodes are all about them taking down the Chronicons master plan, and I started to lose a lot of interest back then.
I love Enoch. Like I like that actor and I like that character. We get his big death and it goes on for a while and it still didn't really land for me. There's something about this show that I realized I've seen a lot of this show, and I did catch a ton of these references, and this season is just like it is sewn through with fan service references back. There's so many first season callbacks from the object that or whatever, the unidentified object, which again is throughout the whole show, it's a forced too clever thing. It's like Fitzsimmons, like I don't know. The season 7 did a lot of fan service, or was this season 7? The final season did a lot of fan service
7.
back towards callbacks to a show that it ended up just kind of reminding me of why this show never worked as well as it should have, and why I felt like I was defending it the whole time, or I mean, like not the whole time. Obviously, I quit, but like when season 1 first aired, I remember where I was for this. Like I remember having a friend over back when that was a thing, and watching this at the time it aired on ABC. Of like, holy shit, there's an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. television show, and we got done with it, and we spent an hour rationalizing why it didn't suck, and then that faded.
Then there was a Samuel L. Jackson cameo in the next episode. We thought this was going to be the Marvel Universe on ABC.
It's not unlike the Star Wars prequels in that this should have been great and it should have worked, and it's the execution that fails. And so we spent a lot of time trying to convince ourselves, no, why do people hate on this? It's kind of good. It's got Joss Whedon involved. He did the Avengers, so it's got to be. And I definitely spent like a full season rationalizing to myself that this show was better than it was. And then I turned on it.
It's got Gunn as Deathlock. I mean, I've got to like this.
Yeah. And so when I got to this season, I was resigned to, I'm going to hate this. And so when I turned it on, and they're in 1930s New York, and they're doing like this sort of time travel-y stuff, and it's S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra, and the Chronocoms are in there, but it's really about S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra and the Super Soldier Serum. I'm like, oh, this is kind of what I wanted in the first place. Like, it's not, the tone is still wrong, the characters still aren't very good, the actors are entirely wasted, but story-wise, I was like, this is closer to what I wanted, and I was kind of digging it. And then they bring in Sousa from Peggy Carter, which was the better version of this show.
Yeah!
Yes.
And
Great move.
He is so good in this, playing the sort of time-lost agent.
I love that they're lost in time, and they're all thrown off by the past to them or wherever they are, you know. Yeah. And he's also thrown off by the time travel, but for different reasons.
Because he's always in the future.
Yes, it's all future to him, and they're like, "Oh no, this is the '80s or the '70s or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah." I think how does at one point somebody's like, "Oh, I mean, at least there's well-dressed squares in every decade, so you'll do fine." So
one of the things that works though,
gonna blend in.
They do these sort of one-off episodes that are sort of they tie into the overall plot, but they're basically the one-off. So like episode 120, episode 3 is they're in 55 and they go to Area 51 and they try to pretend to be Peggy Carter to infiltrate. That's fun. Then episode 4 is the one that's all in black and white, and it's the story of Sousa, and it's like a noir riff. And
and it's all in black and white because Coulson is experiencing it, and we get this great beat at the end. Like when Coulson finally realizes what's going on, he's like, "Oh, great! The voiceover in my head has stopped."
Yeah, it's a funny bit. And then there is the best episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ever produced, and they probably should just
hands down.
And that is
by a mile. If they had done that as their first episode, they could just stop. It's a movie.
So this is episode number 130, episode 7 of this, and it is stuck in 1982. It is called The Totally Excellent Adventures of Mac and the D. And this has
Deke Squad.
So, by the way, guys, I've skimmed over some of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. Deke is the future grandson of...
Deke is the grandson of Fitzsimmons. Yes.
That's the weirdest shit.
And so he keeps calling them like Nana, and I forgot what he calls
Bobo. He calls him
Fitz. Bobo. And so like it's weird for them. They don't know this dude at all. And like Deke is the best for the seasons that weren't working consistently, all of the previous seasons. Deke is my saving grace when we've watched these.
Yeah.
Like he is. Jeff Ward's great in general. I like that actor.
I had to look up that Jeff Ward wasn't a writer on this show because I was like, he's getting all the best stuff. Like he obviously must have like the writers in his pocket.
When they first meet him, he's like the weird writer or something. Like he's just this dude that's got a hold of some time travel crap and is like kind of getting by. It's like meeting Harry Mudd or something, you know. And he makes himself out to be a lot more badass than he is. But at the same time, he's from the future compared to them and is better. I mean, like he has better shit than them.
A little Booster Gold action.
Yeah, he's a little Booster Goldie. And I love that about him. And then he assimilates into the team and like really gets into being a hero. But he's always he has to overcome they're very much like, shut up, dude. Like,
So
you're not really with us.
Deke gets front and center in this 80s episode where he has put together the Deke Squad, his band that performs 80s classics
I would watch,
that have not been written yet.
I would watch a Deke Squad show.
And then there's the reveal when the rest of the team shows up that not only is the Deke Squad a band, he has also been training them to be a squad of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents.
Oh yeah, they go full Hot Tub Time Machine on it too. Like, my name is Deke, and I definitely wrote this song.
And also, Coulson has been transferred to a hard drive, and he is Max Headroom.
He's on a VCR tape. He's on a fucking videotape.
Yep.
I love it. I love it. And he's full Max Headroom.
And they bring in their like shopping mall / Terminator robots. Like there are so many.
Oh God,
references.
yes.
Oh yeah, they kept making like Johnny Five jokes, but yeah, these robots are straight from Chopping Mall.
Yeah,
straight up. Yeah, Laser Mall basically.
And there's plenty more. We can't possibly name all the 80s. There were so many 80s references.
Oh man,
I was texting you guys throughout. Like I can't believe they're doing this.
Oh God, the twins he gets like, well, they're masters of disguise and also a honeypot. They're neither of these things. Like his Russian explosives expert.
Yep. Yep.
One of my favorite things of that whole episode is like I think it's like an episode later they find out, oh yeah, he wasn't authorized to make any of us S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, so we're now all trainees. We're trying to get into S.H.I.E.L.D.
I thought I was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Turns out Deke wasn't authorized for that. Yeah. Totally tracks.
But no, it's totally like the A-Team, and another thing, I was like, if they just had this like 80s underground submarine set sitting around, like what a great way to repurpose it. Otherwise, I could totally see this being like a really easy production design. Like, make us an underground base, but it can look like it's from the 80s. So it's like a bunch of giant knobs and switches and like computers the size of rooms.
Yeah, I also loved just the year of Sad Mac.
Yeah, they gave him a year to but we don't have to watch him wallow. It's just it happened.
Yeah, but like we got the Thor, beer drinking, model building, like the groceries just rotting on his porch.
Why is Fat Thor not offensive, but Fat Mac sounds like something you get in trouble for saying?
Fat Mac is always sunny.
Don't call him that.
Right?
Oh yeah, that's why I didn't call him that.
So I feel like one of the things that kind of worked for me about this show, and that I think could have worked if the show had been something else, the history of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the history of Hydra, like I wanted to see the transition from SSR, the Agent Carter thing, into S.H.I.E.L.D. I wanted to see that history expand, and so like the 80s is this little bit of like, oh, S.H.I.E.L.D. has this weird this weird scrappy team that goes to train, and there's like little bits, and I'm like, if you show me a through line of Shield, like that would have been way more interesting to me than them traveling and fighting Chronotons, or what they did with the Inhumans, or them for some reason getting involved with Ghost Rider and the Supernatural. Like the fact that they could not focus in on what the show should have always have been until the 7th season kind of annoyed me.
And even then, they couldn't stay with it. I wish they just had a broken time drive that had been skipping them through.
Honestly, everything on the show, I gotta feel, is being directly informed by the films. So, like, that Ghost Rider season, Doctor Strange was the movie that had just come out or was coming out. Yeah. So all the Ghost Rider stuff looked all like the production design of Doctor Strange. The whole, like, Hydra infiltrating, like, after Captain America Winter Soldier, right. They ran with that storyline. And it almost felt, because it shifted the show so much, it almost felt like they felt they had to do that, or they weren't going to seem in continuity with the movies anymore.
They should have given that dream up.
They're not in continuity.
They never were.
Yeah, they're like the little brother who was like constantly like, "Hey, can I play with you?" And the cinematic universe is like, "No."
We'll give you one clip from Winter Soldier of the outside of this big Shield base that you can like use in every episode.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's all you get. We're not even going to bring...
We don't even have any helicarrier B-roll for you. No helicarriers.
So, I do want to talk about one of the other things that works this season, which is John Garrett, played by Bill Paxton's son.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah, man. Talk about some Jake and Gary Busey shit going on. What a scald on that family.
He plays such a great, like, scuzzy, weird, like, hyperactive dude... That it's like
just overjoyed to be like I got a power.
That tone works for the show because I feel like that tone allows you to shift from like cartoony villain to like serious threat. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you had the good son just like moping around the whole time, it was like, it's not that I don't think you're evil. You're just boring, man. Yeah. Like, yeah, I get it. You're a bad guy. Like next scene.
I loved him fucking up the landing and landing above the ground and like landing with momentum and. Well, and then when they flip him, he's great. Of just an immediate like, nah, man, fuck that dude. Where do we go?
Yeah, but
I think I can take all of you at once. Let's go.
I love the immediate response that happens to like this is something that was like almost a dark weed me kind of thing where like Garrett's like, okay, I'm going to join him. I'll teleport to this bar, and then they shoot him in the head. And the rest of them are like,
immediately.
Yeah, the rest of the guys like in the field like, well, your friend might still be like, he's not our friend.
Wait, isn't that how they killed him on the show? Like he was getting that big armor upgrade. It was like the end of the episode. Garrett was about to come back,
I think you might be right.
They just walk in and they just shoot him point blank, and they're like, we're not gonna have any of that.
Oh, you might be right. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to go back.
I think it was season 1 or 2, maybe.
Les, you are not going to go back and rewatch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Let's be honest.
No, I mean I would parachute in for that one. Like targeted strike and watch that 5 minutes.
But Bill Paxton playing Garrett as sort of this serious danger in the earlier seasons was one thing, and then seeing his son play the like wackier younger version of him really works.
Mm-hmm. Oh, something else I forgot. We got Patton Oswalt as the speakeasy owner.
Man, the Patton Oswalt thing,
the great grandfather of.
The running Koenig, yeah.
The Patton Oswalt thing makes me so mad because the obvious thing to do is make it a family, basically make it a series of LMDs that they built throughout time. And instead it's just weird, like, oh no, they're just brothers and relatives, and I didn't like that at all. I'm like, come on, man.
No, that makes no sense to me. In my head, in canon, I'm sorry, they are LMDs. Like, that's not a family skull. Like, that's not a genetic similarity.
Yeah.
You clearly have built LMDs and left them everywhere.
Yeah. So again, it's another failed, like, you guys were almost there, you didn't quite get there. But, that said, there were episodes I legitimately enjoyed this season. I watched all the way to the end. I watched every episode, which is not what I've done most seasons of this. And they tried to have their big, like, a year has passed, all the agents come together, and we see what happened to them. and I didn't really give a shit what would happen to any of them. Like, I don't
No,
care.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't care that Coulson's running the academy or whatever's going on. But
Now his
nice.
car looks cooler, and they named the academy for him.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Let Coulson die.
It's nice that
I did text Randy midway through us watching this and was like, Randy, I think you will enjoy that the through line of this season is Coulson begging to be killed off the show.
Please kill me.
Please kill me. I don't want to be on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. anymore.
Oh, there was this Time Sucker miniseries like probably 10, 15 years ago, but they're trying to use this time machine. He goes, how do you know it's safe? I tried it out on this hobo. It just turned his skin inside out. Just a quick shot at him. Please kill me. That's Coulson this season.
Right?
Please kill me. Morbid.
So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I am safe from you now. There's no more. But that was not a terrible way to go out.
It'll never hurt you again, Randy.
Oh, they're still Inhumans.
No, there's no more Inhumans. No.
Oh my! If somebody made us watch that one season of Inhuman, well, good luck finding a streaming service for it. But
I will refund your money.
that would be the worst.
I'm amazed. Is that on Disney Plus?
I don't know, but I will give you your money back before I watch that show.
I'm looking it up.
I will look that up. I do feel
It has Pike in it.
If Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. had started airing in 1986 or 87, I would fight you to the death if you said a bad thing about it right now at age 42. That it aired in my 30s, it does not stand up as well.
Yeah. It is,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
It's up there with Mantis, I think, maybe.
Yes. Did Automan guest and I miss it?
I loved me some Mantis back in the day. I haven't rewatched it. I don't want to. I just want to continue loving it.
That's
So now for something completely different. Let's talk about The Good Lord Bird over on Showtime. That is it's adapted from a 2013 novel about John Brown, the abolitionist, and it is I think it's a 7-episode show that is all aired now. The novel The Good Lord Bird is based on it won the Book Award for Fiction in 2013. It is a story about Henry Shackelford, a slave who unites with John Brown in Brown's abolitionist mission. And that's pretty much what the show's about for the first 3 episodes I've seen. I didn't know this had been as long. I would have watched some more before we talked about it. But what'd you guys think of Good Lord Bird so far?
I am at the same point you're at, Randy, and I'm enjoying it so far. Hawke's character is crazier than I expected, like literally crazier than I expected. But the show's got a lot of fucked up humor and a different. I don't know. Like any good historical fictional piece, it makes me interested enough in the time period to want to go find out what's not quite accurate.
Yeah, I get that.
Which is, I feel like, the best that fictionalized history can do. Because inevitably this is not going to be a documentary, and I am going to accidentally take some of this as history. And so what I always wanted to do is like the Catherine the Great thing with Helen Mirren, things like that. Like I want to be interested enough by the end of it to go find out what's factual. And I feel like Good Lord Bird's doing that for me with this story.
I also think that some of the broad strokes it's taking, like some of the interactions that he has with the main characters. Like, yes, I don't think that he literally said these things to these people or did that, but I imagine that from the reading about him, you can get a sense of the impression he left on people, and then you can replicate those things with a couple of characters like they've done here. But you pointed out the biggest triumph of this show, and that's the tone. It chose to go with like a pretty humorous tone that really kind of paints who these characters are, not like with a more serious tone, which is anything from this period you usually see painted like that. You think of like Lincoln or Amistad, it's very serious, like what they're talking about. So like they take it very serious, but like this is able to skate that line where like, yeah, like this bad things are happening. This is a really bad point in history, but this guy is crazy, and everybody around him knows it.
This is more akin to like Django Unchained.
It's got a Man of La Mancha kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Like, he's nuts, but the cause is real. And I love the nuance it presents of, we were talking a little off mic about it, or Kyle was, the nuance it presents of abolition, of these people that are enslaved, and you would think, well, I'm just going to white savior on in here and free the shit out of y'all. You're free now.
Yep.
And, like, people going, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
Like, free to what?
Yeah.
Am I conscripted into your war now to free other people? I don't really like this either.
Yeah.
There's a moment where the main character who he has freed goes, man, I wasn't hungry until I met you. I'd never even seen anybody get killed until I knew you. You're chopping people's heads off.
Yep. Also,
but he's kind of doing it in this weird Ted Lasso way where, oh no, he really isn't.
He is.
Yeah. Like, he doesn't think of himself as a white savior. He really thinks what he's doing is righteous and right.
Absolutely right. Yeah, God told me to do this, and do you not want to do it? Well, I love you for that too, brother.
Yeah,
like, he's just like Little Onion. Here, I want you to have this, my most prized possession, because I love you. And like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's likable in the way of like, oh man, if this guy was my friend, I'd be terrified to be around him. Because he's definitely going to get somebody killed. And like when they bring in on episode 3, I think it's episode 3, they bring in Daveed Diggs to play Frederick Douglass. Which, by the way, Daveed Diggs kills that role. He's so good.
Yeah.
But I love
so charming.
The whole polyamorous thing he's got going. Like I'm okay, that's a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. That was.
I Wikipedia'd that in a heartbeat.
Is that true? That's a true thing.
Okay, so he had 2 wives. The first one was black. The second one was white. But I couldn't find anything that said he was he was in like a polyamorous type situation. But I do think the first wife died. I believe that's what.
Okay. Right. All right. But that was interesting. But I love that he's an abolitionist as well, but he's coming at it from a very different point of view than John Brown, and the two of them don't necessarily agree on how to do all this.
Mm-hmm. You also get this sense, though, he doesn't want to piss him off. Like, he doesn't want to send him off to never come back. He wants this. He wants to be involved with this guy. Which I don't know if the show tells you this or if this is something I read on the side. But until Lincoln's assassination, John Brown was the most famous American in the world. Like, and you think of like how famous Lincoln was as president. Like, it wasn't even until Lincoln was killed that he became more famous than this guy right here. So I imagine, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, any of the other characters that they showed on the show probably wanted to be involved with him for no other reason than he got crowds together and, got his message out there, even if parts of it were kind of crazy.
So one of the things I think works about this too is that,
I guess
John Brown is like, he's the central character, but he's not our lead. Our lead is Onion. Our lead is this young black boy who he rescues and who he thinks is a girl, and the kid just goes along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you can't tell if they're scared or if they're like, well, this is easier. I mean, there's no arguing with that.
Yeah.
Well, and they stop. I mean, you don't get asked to do a lot of the. He says it pretty much right off. Like the first place they go, where they put him to kind of girls' chores, in the gendered society that they're in. And there's like, well, nobody's asked me to hold a gun, and nobody's told me to, do anything. Like, I just got to bring this laundry back. Like, this is way better.
And I understand this, that John Brown is the guy who basically instigated the Civil War, or at least he's credited with the incident.
He attempted kind of an uprising that was unsuccessful, but I want to say like less than a year later, the actual South, the South seceded from the Union, and that started the Civil War. But a lot of historians point back to this as being one of the things that led to that.
So I got to say, one of the things about Showtime shows, I don't know about, I've never fallen in love with a Showtime show. I always like them. They're always good. Like even this, like Kidding. What's the business one that you like, Kyle? The Billionaires, Billions.
Oh, Billions.
Billions. Like
Billions.
They do good shows. Dexter. Like there's always shows that I like. but there's never one that makes me want to follow all the way through with it. And I feel like this is the same thing. There's something about it, and I don't know what it is. It's something I can't put my finger on, where I'm like, this is good, but it's not so good that I want to keep watching it. Did you guys have that reaction to it at all?
I've watched 3, and that was like 2 weeks ago, or a week ago, and I haven't. I mean, I plan to watch the rest, but I didn't feel like I wanted to binge them through all night. And I mean, granted, when I watched those, they were the only ones out, but I think, but I didn't want to immediately like, motherfucker, what night does this come on?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
With a lot of the shows that you mentioned. Well, actually, I guess you were making a totally different point. Let's take Dexter, for instance.
Yeah.
The seasons where Dexter worked the best were like the Lithgow season, or like when he had really good like villains to work against. Mm-hmm. And in some ways, this kind of feels like it could be an Ethan Hawke one-man show. Yeah, like that he could totally do this on stage in a dark theater by himself, this whole thing. And it could just be him.
Yeah. No, you could just have a dinner plate set, and he starts the prayer, tells the entire goddamn story.
Yeah.
And ends it with amen 2.5 hours later. There's an intermission where you go to the bathroom and come back.
Another little tidbit that I just loved, the actor from Boyhood, the boy from Boyhood, played one of his sons in this, which Ethan Hawke plays the dad in Boyhood. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
Yeah, no, I love Boyhood. That's great.
Beautiful
so that's got to be, that's great.
Yeah. I forget the kid's name. He's actually from Austin. Yeah, he was one of the sons.
Eller Coltrane.
So Kyle, where do you come down on this? How much have you watched? Are you in?
Oh, I'm actually pretty far. I think I'm on episode 6 at least, and I'm definitely going to finish it off.
Okay.
And yeah, it's funny. Showtime has always been, up until recently, but it's always been like HBO is the service you pay for year round. Showtime is the one that you pay for a couple times throughout the year for like that one show that you're interested in.
Yeah.
House of Lies was another one with Don Cheadle and Kristen Bell. And I do think I probably fall, like, I like the Showtime stuff a bit more, but yeah, it always just feels like HBO light to some extent. Of these shows.
Like Showtime came, nobody got, was it Showtime that nobody got on purpose? No, so Cinemax always came with HBO.
Yeah.
And then Showtime and the Movie Channel were packaged together.
Yeah.
And it was like, let's see if there's something on those.
All right, so let's talk about the last one thing, which I think is going to be me talking, and you guys maybe ask me questions. On a whim, I put on Eater's Guide to the World, because I love these food shows. This is Hulu's new show. I'm a foodie. I follow Eater.com. They have an Austin branch where I see all kinds of restaurants I want to go to and can't because of the pandemic. So this one has a prelude in front of each one that says, "Hey, we filmed all this before the pandemic. Our hearts go out to these chefs." I'm like, it is basically like teasing us. It is this whole season of TV of just showing us all this amazing food, all this amazing travel that you cannot do right now, which is really, really kind of frustrating. But
that's how Somebody Feed Phil felt.
But so there's 7 episodes. The first one is about, and there's a theme to them. So the first one's called Dining Alone in the Pacific Northwest. The second was Cultural Crossroads in Casablanca. The third is The Ass Crack of Dawn in New York City. The fourth is Jungle the Table in Costa Rica. The fifth is Ain't Down the Hood of Your Car in L.A. The sixth is Planting Roots in Tijuana, Mexico. And the 7th is Taking Off in America, which is about all the places to eat that are near or in airports. There's some weird themes going on here. It's kind of neat to see this sort of mix of travel and food show. And also, Maya Rudolph is the host, but she's not in it. She does voiceover.
Yeah.
And
I watched Sorry, keep going.
Go ahead. Yeah, what were you saying?
No. That was a really interesting thing because Maya Rudolph definitely has a personality to her, and shows that we've seen her in, like she did that like kind of Carol Burnett-ish show a couple years back that we talked about. Yep. They all like have her personality, and what was so great about having her voice in there, but not like her going around Anthony Bourdain style and interviewing these people, is that like it gave this something that was kind of humorous, also kind of endearing, and very much her, but like wasn't overwhelming and like it's not like funny, like it's entertaining, but it's not like she's not like trying to crack jokes or anything. Like it's very sincere, and I really liked her personality.
She does, though, crack jokes, because that's Maya Rudolph's. There's some stuff she says where she's talking, when she's appreciating the food, it's sometimes to an almost sexual level. It's hilarious. When she's talking like, oh, come to mama.
Oh, yeah, I
Kind
guess
of like,
I did catch quite a bit of that.
She does some really funny, like she is appreciating the food from a distance, and you're like, I don't know if she's actually eating this, or she's like us. She's watching the show and looking like, oh, that looks good. And some of her it takes on, like, she was on Saturday Night Live. She knows what it's like to be out late in New York City. She knows the post-comedy scene and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure she's traveled. So she's got some things to say about all this stuff. And, she lives in LA now, I'm sure, doing movies and stuff. So those two episodes in particular, like, she's talking about them from a place, so someone who's lived there and who's done the, like, going to eat at the hole in the walls and finding the good places to eat. And that is kind of fun. And she does, like, I don't know how much this was scripted and how much they were like, hey, here's the show. Can you just voice over this for us? Because it feels like her personality. It doesn't feel like someone wrote it for her.
Yeah, these themes kind of reminded me, which everybody tries to rip him off, but reminded me of No Reservations of Anthony Bourdain.
For sure.
Like, I feel like he always he didn't want to just do like a show about Austin. Like his thing had to do with like what it means to be a tech. Actually, I forget the concept for that. I always think of the one he did with that band. It's killing me now, but. He pretty much did a whole episode of his travel show where he just hung out with a rock band, Queens of the Stone Age.
Okay.
Just hung out with a rock band, and it was just all the culture of like the things that they experience wherever they're at. And it was never so much about the place as like what was happening in the place.
Yeah.
And definitely in like that Pacific Northwest episode, you get that feeling. Kind of the theme was all about like eating alone and the sensory experience of just being there with your food and not like your phone or your friends or all these other things that distract you.
Well, I didn't know, watching the Casablanca episode, I had no idea that Moroccan's diet was so meat focused. And they go to this butcher shop on the street that's like the fresh meat, and I'm like, oh my God, I want to go live there. Like, this made me, I am not a travel person. I am a stay-at-home person. I like food, but I don't like traveling far. And this is the first time I'm like, man, when this pandemic's over, I want to road trip across America and get all this food. Like, it was that. It was fairly, they did a great job of showing off the different cultures. And it's not like, oh, I could get that taco here in Austin, but I want to get it here from these people because they do a good job of telling the story of the people who make it and why they make it and how they do it and that kind of stuff. And I've watched a ton of food shows, and I understand that at some point they all start to look alike. But I thought this one was really good, and I burned through it really quickly. It was a really fun sort of background watch as I was doing other stuff. So I would definitely recommend it to people, especially if only for Maya Rudolph's sort of sardonic commentary, if you like her and stuff. This made me go, oh, you know what? I like Maya Rudolph. I'm going to go check out Idiocracy again and see if I like her. See if when I saw Idiocracy, I had no idea who Maya Rudolph was, and I'm like, who is this person? And I was like, oh, let's see if she brought something to it. And the answer is no. Idiocracy's not a very good movie, but she's good in it.
I did not realize she was in the Rentals in the 90s.
Oh, wow. I mean, she's been around.
The break off from Weezer.
She's been around forever, but she just became a thing like a few years ago, I think.
SNL. Well, and she's definitely got a career for the next few years.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. She got that Alec Baldwin job for the next 4 years.
Right.
Right.
All right,
not a
guys.
bad gig.
I think that about wraps it up for us this week. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Les.
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. Thank you to the gods of the internet who made this mostly work, because we were having some internet issues on my end this week. But hopefully it was mostly invisible to you guys.
Shit, was I supposed to record?
Oops, no lesses. I guess it's an Oops, no less episode.
Oops, no lesses.
Oops, no lesses.
All right. And until next time.
Oops, TV Dude's out.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast out of Austin, Texas. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/tvdudes.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at TV Dudes. All the music for our show is done by our friend and original TV Dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith.
To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com. I'm Randy Lander.
I'm Les Weiler.
And I'm Kyle Scott.
Thanks for listening.